All right, everybody. So real quick, before we get into this video, I just wanted to say, we just hit 6,000 subscribers like a day or two ago now. And I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. Like, this is absolutely mind blowing. I know I say it every time, but it's because it's true, man. Every time we cross another 1,000 sub threshold, I think that made sense. It just blows my mind, man. And just thank you guys from the bottom of my heart so much. I have so many awesome things planned. Cannot wait to share them with you guys. 2021 is going to be an epic year, and I can't wait to see what it has in store for us. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for 6,000 subscribers. Like, man, this is insane. I can't believe it. So I'm sure most of you guys know exactly what is going on in today's video by the title and the thumbnail, but real quick before we get into that, the snow finally has pretty much for the most part melted. As you can see, there's a little bit of snow here and there, but 99% of the snow has melted. The Genesis Coupe is thankfully no longer stuck, and it is time for a bath for this thing, because check this out, dude. From all the snow and everything that fell off the roof onto the car, just look how absolutely disgusting the hood is. I mean, I think this picks up the same as I'm seeing it right now, but dude, it looks like somebody just took a big dump on my hood, basically, also on the windshield and the roof and the trunk. So we need to get this cleaned up because this is not gonna fly. But before we do anything else, we need a cold start, because when I tell you this, I'm not lying. My car has not been actually, okay, I am lying. I started my car like 3 days ago for the first time in about 8 days, but it's only been started for about 5 minutes in the past 2 weeks. So let's get her a cold start. Man, I really am pretty impressed with this Solar Performance exhaust. Like, it's not as loud as I thought it was going to be, but it sounds super clean. Man, this driveway is absolutely disgusting right now. It is pretty much just a swamp, man. But also, I forgot to mention, I just looked back and realized I took off my driver's side rear side louver, and the reason being is because last video, if you guys saw it, I was talking about how I wanted to get it off, but I couldn't get it off because it was super stuck on there. But the main reason I wanted to get it off was just so I could sand it down how I did the passenger side there, and just get it to fit 100% perfectly without ever risking it flying off. So I took it off. I finally got it off. It literally took me like 30 minutes of prying yesterday, but it's off, as you guys can see. So probably later today or at some point on this week, I'm gonna get it sanded down and get it put back on, and then it should be perfect. All right, so right now we're headed over to the car wash because, as I said before, the car is absolutely filthy, man. Like, she is in major need of a bath. But I figured while we're on our way to the car wash, I'll pretty much give you guys an overview of what we're gonna be talking about in this video. So every single week, pretty much, I get countless comments still of people saying, you know, they're about to get their first Genesis Coupe and they want to know what to look out for and problems that they should be aware of basically before they get their Genesis Coupe. And I know I've made videos in the past on reliability issues and like things you should look out for, but I've never made a video on things that I wish I knew before buying my Genesis Coupe. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about things I wish I knew before buying my Genesis Coupe. So hopefully you guys will have an idea of things to look out for and just things that you may need to fix whenever you finally get yourself a Genesis Coupe. Or if you already have one and you've been having some problems, hopefully one of these solutions will be able to fix that problem.
You have selected the Ultimate Car Wash. Please deposit $12.
I'm not gonna judge anybody, but it's starting to pour rain right now, and this dude just got out of the car wash, yet he's letting his car dry off. So we're finally in the car wash. The Jenny's getting a much needed bath. It is long overdue, but being in the car wash, getting soaked in water, leads me on to the first point of things I wish I knew about the Genesis Coupe before I bought it, which has to do with leaky floorboards. Well, the passenger floorboard leaking, to be more specific. I'm pretty sure it's safe to guess that almost every single one of you guys who owns a Genesis Coupe or has owned a Genesis Coupe in the past has probably experienced this problem at some point. But for some reason, whenever it rains, whenever the car gets soaked, whenever ice gets on the car and then melts, snow gets on the car and then melts, somehow down in the passenger floorboard it gets soaking wet. Now thankfully I have these WeatherTech mats, so like I'm not gonna ruin the carpet or anything like that or the stock mats, but I mean, dude, it is so annoying because I don't know if you guys can see that napkin right there, but I promise you I didn't spit or pee on that napkin, man. It just got soaked from water leaking through the floorboard down here. Like, it leaks from all the way up in there. I have no idea how to fix it or any way around it, but if you guys do, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, that is the first thing that I wish I knew about my Genesis Coupe before buying it, and that is the passenger floorboard. It's basically a small pond. I just pulled in over here to get a thumbnail and record a little bit and whatnot, and a cop pulled in right behind me. I just kind of thought it was funny. But the Jenny is all nice and cleaned up now, man. Check this out. This is how she's supposed to be looking. Alright, now moving on to the second thing I wish I knew about this car before buying it. It also has to do with leaking, believe it or not. And I know I've mentioned this one briefly before. I've probably talked about it a few times briefly before, but it has to do with the wheel well where the spare tire sits filling with water. So to my knowledge, every Genesis Coupe pretty much has a problem with this, and there's really only two ways to fix it. The first way is to get new gaskets for your taillight, and after I did that, well, obviously these are spec D taillights, these are aftermarket, but when I still had the stock taillights on, I replaced the gaskets with new OEM ones from the Hyundai dealer, and it fixed the leaking problems. Or the second thing you could do to fix the leaking problems would be to get yourself some new taillights, like some spec Ds or something. But besides that, I've yet to really come up with a solution to fix this, or I've yet to really hear any solutions to fix this, but pretty much here's what happens. So back in your trunk, you got yourself this Genesis Coupe piece of plastic thing. You lift this up right here, then you move this piece of cloth right here, and down under here is where you find your spare tire, and this needs to go over here, I believe. But basically, this compartment right here will completely fill with water if you don't do something about your taillight gaskets. Well, I'm assuming that's what it is, because that seemed to fix it for me. But if you guys don't feel like doing anything to fix your taillight gaskets and you kind of just want to deal with it, there's these little plugs right here. I believe there are these things right here. You kind of just rip this off, and basically there's a plug under it, and it'll let the water drain out through the car, and it won't damage anything. But still, you really don't want to let this area get rusty and smelly, because it just would not be good. Hopefully there's not going to be a crazy amount of wind noise in this clip, because the wind is blowing fairly hard right now. But on to the third thing I wish I knew about my Genesis Coupe before purchasing it, and that has to do with the headlights. So for those of you guys who don't know, this is a BK2 Genesis Coupe, which means it's a second gen or a 2013 plus Genesis Coupe. So I can't really speak on the BK1s when it comes to this, but on the BK2 Genesis Coupes, the headlights, man, I don't know if it's just my car in particular, if I got some bad headlights or something, but the headlights on this car they're worse than your flashlight on your phone, basically, man. The reason I think they are so bad is because, like, obviously if you guys have one of these cars or have seen one of these cars, the front end kind of slopes down, and what it seems like when you're driving at nighttime is the headlights point down at the ground too. So I don't know if maybe something broke loose and my headlights are kind of hanging low, or if that's just how this car's headlights are, but the headlights on the Genesis Coupes are just nothing to be amazed about. If you guys have problems seeing at nighttime, I would highly recommend getting yourself an upgraded pair of bulbs, which I actually want to do that at some point myself, but I've been looking around and I really don't know what kind of bulbs to go with. But that is something you guys need to keep in mind. If you have trouble seeing at night and you plan on getting one of these cars, just know that the headlights, they're not your best friend, man. Do you guys smell that, man? Something smells like, it smells weird, kind of like a, it almost smells like a full send, I'm not gonna lie. Let's hit it. Full send in quite a few days, and man, I missed that. So while we're out driving around right now, it will be the perfect opportunity to talk about the fourth thing I wish I knew about this car before getting it, and that has to do with the creaking and rattling noises that this car makes when you're just driving around. I don't know about you guys, but one of my biggest pet peeves about a car is rattling and creaking, and the Genesis, man, is no stranger to that. This car rattles and creaks like it's nobody's business. Now, I've heard quite a few things that have to do with the creaking slash rattling in this car, and the main thing that causes the creaking or rattling has to do with bad welds around like the subframe or something like that, and basically after a while they just break and the car starts creaking like crazy. And I don't know if that's what's happened to my car, but it creaks like crazy. Now the main areas that creak or squeak or whatever, just make rattling sounds, come from the doors, which is really strange to me because I took off the door panel and nothing in there was loose, nothing in there seemed like it needed to be tightened, nothing in there seemed off at all. And for some reason, like literally like right here, something rattles inside both doors, here and on the passenger door. I have no idea what it is, but it's pretty annoying. And also besides that, this area right here, so I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but pretty much there's these two screw holes right here, both have Phillips heads in them, and this thing is loose. I'm pretty sure I just need to tighten it down and it'll make it go away, at least I hope so. But that is another spot that rattles. And then the last spot that rattles, that's probably the most annoying, comes from like down in that area on both sides, and that is the major creaking creaking sound that you will hear in this car, and it is just, it's not fun to listen to, man. So yeah, if creaking or squeaking or rattling on a car is a deal breaker for you, I would definitely stay away from this car, because at some point in its life, it's gonna start creaking and rattling, man. And honestly, I have no idea how to fix it. So if any of you guys do, let me know down in the comments below. Now on to the next thing, or the fifth thing I wish I knew about the Genesis Coupe before buying it, and that has to do with the paint on these cars. So I know for a fact I've mentioned this in quite a few videos in the past, but I figured since this is a video talking about things I wish I knew about the car before I bought it, I might as well go ahead and talk about it again. And that has to do with the paint flaking, and just the paint all around the paint on this car is just not that good, basically. So first up, you move over to the fake hood vents, and as you guys can see, they are white here because the black paint has started to fade off. But then you come around down here to like the little crevices and whatnot in between the headlights and just where the body lines meet, basically, and you can see the paint is starting to chip away here, over here around this crack a little bit, and then worst of all, back here under the taillights, like the paint is literally completely peeling and flaking off under these. I know you guys can't see it right now. You might be able to see this little tiny piece, but pretty much I've broken all of it off, so it's not going to catch and like rip a giant flake of paint off. But the paint on this car, man, is just something that you need to be aware of, because if you do not take extra careful care of this car, you won't like how it looks in a few years. I'm feeling another full send brewing right here. I don't know about you guys. No TC off or anything, but it should still be pretty fun. Baby. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the sixth thing that I wish I knew about this car before buying it, and that has to do with how hard it is to make power out of the 3.8s. Now, for you 2.0 turbo guys, this literally means nothing to you guys, because all you guys got to do to make some more power is slap on a bigger turbo and a tune, and you're ready, set to rock and roll, brother. But for us 3.8 guys, making power on top of what this car already makes is no easy task, to say the least. So for those of you guys who've been around for a while, you pretty much know that this car is basically full bolt on. The only thing we're missing is a ported throttle body and a ported intake manifold, and pretty much this car comes with 350 crank horsepower, 348 crank horsepower stock, basically 350, and 295 pound-feet of torque stock. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure with basically this car being a full bolt-on, it's maybe pushing 320 wheel horsepower max, which would probably be close to like 370-ish crank horsepower, which is a 20 horsepower increase over stock. And man, I've put like $5,000 plus worth of performance mods into this car. So if you guys are looking for a car, or if you guys are looking at this car in hopes that you can build it and make it extra fast, I mean, you can, but it's no easy matter. You got to boost it, or you got to do something, engine swap it, because this engine really just can't put out that much extra power, unfortunately, man. All right, now let's move on to the seventh thing that I wish I knew about this car before buying it, and that has to do with the sunroof right here. So I know I've talked a little bit about this before in a previous video, but basically the sunroof in this car is it's a hit or miss, man. It only works for me about 40 to 50% of the time at most, and even then I still struggle with it. But pretty much the problem comes when it gets wet outside, so that's what it seems like to me anyway, because for the most part the sunroof, well, there you go, perfect example. It did not want to open right there, and that time it popped itself open. But whenever it's really wet outside, raining, you just go through the car wash, something like that, and you try to open the sunroof, it just will not open. It just gets stuck like it did right there, and then it won't move past that. And if you want to go to open it after that, it won't even just straight up open. If you push this up right here, you have to pull this back down to like get it back on track, and then you can at least open it like that. But like literally 50+% of the time, this won't even open. As you guys just look, now it's not doing it. Oh, there it goes, it popped open. But the sunroof in this car is it's very tweaky, to say the least, man. All right, and last but not least, we are on to the eighth and final thing I wish I knew about my Genesis Coupe, or just Genesis Coupes in general, before I bought one, and that has to do with the traction control on these cars. So I think it's safe to assume that probably most of you guys who are interested in Genesis Coupes, or just know anything about Genesis Coupes, have heard that the traction control in these cars is really as bad as it gets. And the reason for that is because whenever you lose traction in this car, instead of just cutting a small amount of power to make up for the lost traction so you can still get traction, it just cuts all power completely. Now, you might not think that's too big of a deal, but say you trying to maybe not necessarily pull out in front of somebody, but get out of a turn faster than necessary and in front of somebody who you want to be in front of, I guess. Well, if your traction control is on and you floor it, you're going to lose all traction, all power. The car's going to jerk to a standstill, and you might get rear-ended, because that's almost happened to me before. So the traction control in this car works kind of weird, but pretty much you press the traction control button one time, and stability control or traction, wait, nothing happened that time. So you press it one time and traction control is disabled, but realistically traction control is not disabled. It's in full effect. It's just as strong as it ever has been. So then say you want to go one step farther. Now, if you hold down the traction control button for like 5-6 seconds until you hear this beep right there, then traction and stability control are turned off, and pretty much then for the most part traction is fully off. But still, if you say spin through first and second and then start spinning into third, the car will still cut all power and like jerk you forwards, and it's just super annoying because there's literally no way to completely turn it off as far as I know anyway. Well, I guess you could unplug the fuse, but I don't really want to do that. Like, I kind of want everything in working order without having to do that. But I mean, if that's what it comes down to, I might just have to do it. So now I'm going to try and get a few clips of what TC looks like when it kicks in, because it's not your friend. Just know that the TC in this car is not your friend, and you got to work around it basically. See if I can get an example of this right here real quick. We're going to pull out and then we're just going to floor it. And as you guys can hear, it just, that time was not as bad as it is in the past. Let's see if we can get the traction control to kick in right here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when it's wet out how it is right now, it's a little bit more lenient, but it's still not fun to deal with. All right, so we're in sport mode, traction, stability, everything is on. We're just gonna pull out and then foot to the floor. And you heard it cut out like that, and then it just goes. Like, yeah, man, traction control in this car is, it's a fight. It's a fight, that's for sure. All right, everybody, now that is really going to wrap it up for this video. I just wanted to go over a bunch of things that I wish I knew about this car before buying it. So therefore, if any of you guys are in the market for one of these cars, or if any of you guys have these cars but haven't owned it for long, you would know some things to look out for and just some things that you have to be aware of, because unfortunately this car is not perfect. Now, yesterday or the day before, I want to say, I got some more carbon in, so next week we're going to be installing some more carbon on the car, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But yeah, like I said, that is really it for this one. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, do not forget to drop a like and subscribe. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next one.